Yes. Well, let me see if I can share my screen. That should all work. And there you go. Can everyone see it? Can everyone hear me? We're all good? Yes? Fantastic. Well, I was asked to give a presentation for you guys today because of the things I noticed. And well, here I am. My name is Susanne. I'm originally from the Netherlands. As you can hear by my accent, I am nowhere near Scottish. But today you will hear more about that in a bit. Well, we're going to talk about how to effectively manage your time and how to prioritize things in your business so you can avoid a burnout or worse. Well, like I said, my name is Susanne and I am an award-winning work-life balance expert and an intuitive business coach and consultant, and I specialize in helping business owners like yourself redefine success so you can have the impact you want, but without having to, sacrifice your health, your relationships, or yourself. Well, my work has been featured in magazines all over the world and on my podcast, and there are thousands of people now enjoying my strategy as I say it, work smarter, not harder. So before we get started, I would love to hear from you guys where you're from, because like I said, I'm originally from the Netherlands, but I stay in Aberdeen, Scotland. I am married to my Scottish hubby, hence the last name Grant, because that one isn't mine. And I would love to hear. Let me see if I can get back to the chat because I can't see that just now. Oh, that was not the right button. So I would love to hear. So what do you do in your business? And
I'll jump in if you want.
I can't get to the chat. So if you could show me.
You want us to tell you or drop it in the chat?
Just tell me.
Yeah. I'm Alana. I'm on the Isle of Arran. It's just the southern island, west coast Scotland. And I run both a restaurant, food production, drink production, and sailing cruises, a company called Crofters.
Oh, that's cool. So you're also from Scotland here then, or is it okay? Brilliant. Or if anyone else wants to let me know where they're from and what it is they do, you don't have to. I can't read the chat unfortunately unless I stop the whole presentation, but I can read it later. So
I'll go if that's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So my name's Lindsay. I'm in the near Glencoe, West Coast Highlands, little village called Ballyhoolish, actually, if you've heard of it. I'm a professional chef. I've trained with Michelle Roux in London at Le Gavroche restaurant and with Andrew Fairley for a short period of time. I started my own patisserie business last year called Stiff Peaks. So you might get it, you might not. So it's Stiff Peaks, which is a meringue term. And it's also sort of tie it in with the location here in the mountains. So if you have a look at me on Instagram or Facebook, you'll see my logo is a mountain peak with a meringue top.
That's
so
cool.
Yeah.
Yes, perfect. Well, if anyone else wants to add anything, this would be your time. If not, I'm continuing with the actual presentation. Well, what will we cover today? As you can see, I'm going to talk to you about the importance of effective time management and how to prioritize, why it's important for your mental health in general, why well-being, and why especially this is important for your long-term sustainable goals and your business goals. And what's the difference between being productive and busy, because they're actually not the same thing. The 80-20 rule and how to spend your time wisely, and how to eliminate, automate, and delegate things in your business for optimal results. And at the end, there can be questions. Like I said, I am not managing to get access to the chat, so unless you unmute yourself and ask me questions, but feel free to ask me at the end or make a note, and we'll make sure it's all covered. Well,
Susanne, I'll just jump in just to be second there. If anyone does have questions in the chat, I will look out for them. So I'll prompt you when you're kind of at a good place to stop.
Perfect. That solves it all. So why is it important to effectively manage your time and prioritize? Well, as you probably know, if you're in business yourself by now, or if you're just in business, or you're also still working, there can be a lot of things on your plate that you can feel like you're doing, and business can become extremely overwhelming if you don't know how to prioritize properly, and this can have long-term effects. It can be devastating. Things can be affecting your health. You can have experience like stress, sleepless nights, anxiety. You can have different signs in back pains that can show up, periods problems. You name it, stress can have a certain impact, and of course long term this can also result to things like heart attacks or strokes, or then we're talking of course the severe cases. Luckily I don't see those too often, but it is important that if you're noticing that at this point you're feeling overwhelmed and thinking this is not particularly feeling great, this would be the time to do it and apply a different strategy. So for mental health and well-being, it's important for your long-term strategy, especially now we're moving out of the restrictions. And what I see with a lot of my clients is that they're like, this is our time, we're all in, right? So let's, as we would say in Dutch, let's put our best leg forward and really go for it. And if you're burnt out now, you'll see around Christmas time that a lot of people will be really tired, burnt up, and maybe some conflicts. If you're like in customer service, you will notice that people are a bit shorter tempered at the moment. And that's why it's important that if you're noticing now for yourself that there are things in your business or in your life where your body is complaining, or you're not getting enough sleep, that you make those small tweaks now, because you will long term your business will benefit from it. And of course, if you think you're in business not to be there for 6 months, right, and then close the door and that's it. You're in business to have an impact, to like the ladies just shared with the food and the trips, and it's a long-term plan that you're in there for. So think about your business and your health as part of your long-term sustainable goal. So where would you like to be, say, in 5 years with your business? But in order to get there in a way that serves you also need to include your health with that. So did you know, for example, that research shows that almost half of all the entrepreneurs have mental health conditions, whereas suicide still remains the #1 cause of death for the male group between 20 and 49. Now the female numbers are quite high as well, but mental health is a really important topic, and I'm sure all of you can relate that after the year plus we've had health and well-being it's much more of the conversation, luckily, but we still have a long way to go to make this part of the dialogue, and especially the correlation between mental health and your long-term business growth, because we all know that if you had a crap night's sleep, you are not as productive as you can be, of course. So it really is about creating a space that works for you as a person, that makes you be as healthy as you can be, because of course there are always things going on, whether it's health-wise or business-wise things, activities, but to really create something that works for you. So as we're getting more and more deeper into the presentation, there's a different important thing, especially when you're overwhelmed. There's a difference between being productive and being busy. And as I grew up personally in the Netherlands, there was always a lot about you have to be busy, you have to be doing stuff in order to show that you're in this game, right? You're making your business work. But if you're really busy, 80 hours per week, but only you spend 80% of that time actually moving your business forward. So 80% of your activity actually don't contribute to your business. Of course, one, you will see progress in your business, because the 20% you're spending we will of course have the result, but you will also be probably very tired and have maybe health issues, or your relationship is not as stable as you like it to be, or you notice you may be snapping at your children sooner than you would like. Stuff like that, they're all signs that maybe it's too much on your plate. So if we're looking at being productive and being busy, just because something is on your to-do list doesn't mean it has to be done. And it is really important that if you're, especially if you're managing a lot of different tasks, if you're still in a job, or you have your own business, or your business on its own is just quite busy, to become aware of what it is you're deciding to spend your time on. And the way I like to do it is what's called the 80-20 rule. And this is also known as the Pareto Principle, if I pronounce his last name correctly. And it is based on the principle that 80% of your outcomes come from 20% of your input. So if you look at your times, say you spend 10 hours of your time, if that's 20%, that will give you 80% in return. So it helps you to identify in your business where you actually choose to spend your time on, because if you're most productive in that small fraction of your time for the return, then why not spend your time managing those tasks first, for example. So what I noticed with lockdown, of course, that happened to all of us. I work from home. I've got 2 little children that didn't have their babysitter anymore, so I had to really specifically spend my time on those tasks. So even for me, doing this as a job, of course, was helping others to find their work-life balance. Even me being stripped away of all the tools, help, and everything I had, it made me even more aware of, look, I can only work for 2 hours today. What am I doing? And being on social media, answering social media posts at that time, that wasn't the most productive thing. So that's something I outsourced. So there are all kinds of things in your business. Of course, there are all kinds of different businesses here. So if you relate it to your business, so for example, if you have invest in your time in reaching out to potential new clients that could, say for the next 6 months, you get a new contract in, that could be something that gives you in return of investment, a big chunk, of course. So, of course, because there's so many different businesses, I can't unfortunately give specific options to your personal situation. But of course, your business best. So think about it. So what's going on for you that you think of all the things that you should be doing? What's the thing that will have most impact if I start there? So what I like to use is actually from this book. So if you're into reading, I would highly recommend this book called The Number One Thing, and it really helps you to break down the activity. So if you're really overwhelmed today and you've got like, oh my god, I need to do like 100 things, take a breath, break it down. What's the number one thing I can do today that has most impact for my business? And the way I do it, for example, if you make your planning we're a little bit over, halfway of the year now, say we go for the next quarter, what do I want to achieve in this quarter? What's the number one thing I want to achieve this quarter that will bring, have most impact for my business? Well, then break that down. What do I then need to do in this month? What I need to do in this week? What do I need to do today? And because you then really break it down step by step, it allows you to still make that lot of momentum, because you apply that rule of what has the biggest impact. So for me is that if I then have my to-do list, I always start with activities that, for example, bring most money in. So invoicing customers, if you still have invoices that are open, or you reach out to new customers, or if you have a journalist that wants to talk to you but you keep forgetting to call back, that can be potentially, of course, also one of the big impacts if you get a nice feature in the local or international media that will help you get your business out there. So of course there are all kinds of different ways, but just take a moment, look at the things you can do, break it down, and see how it applies to your business and what can you do today that will have most impact. And because this is the way I do it for myself, I also noticed that you're really, because you get that one thing done, it's very satisfying because the biggest thing I've already done. So everything else kind of feels like extra. So it really just helps with the feel-good hormones that gets released with that as well. So if you're currently really busy, what I would like you to have a look at your current business is how to eliminate, automate, and delegate for optimum results. So what I mean by that is that we are often in business and can keep ourselves stuck for a long time on certain patterns because now that's how we used to do it. And therefore there's often like unnecessary tasks that don't necessarily contribute for the business. So for example, a client of mine is still doing, or was doing all her appointments by hand. She got out the calendar, making all the appointments just with pen and paper, which of course works at the beginning of her business. She had a spiritual coaching business, but by the time she was over 6 figures, she had clients all over the world. Then you're calculating with different time zones. Of course, you get in summertime and wintertime that also have in different times of the year happen. So there was a lot of extra work, which of course was completely unnecessary, because if she has an online booking system, clients can just have a look. The software automatically calculates the right time zone, the difference, etc. And it was for her completely unnecessary, and it saved her per week just 3 hours of having to manually manage that. So those are one of the examples of tasks. And of course, you know your business best. So there are things that maybe you've been wanting to do different, but because you're busy, you don't take the time to actually have a look at it. So this would be your cue, is to have look at it this week and see maybe if you can make some small tweaks that just really allow you to clear up space, clear up hours. So you have the time available to spend it on other things. Well, it also ties in with how that you can automate repetitive tasks. So like I said, with appointments, of course, that's then all automated. It can be of things like admin or invoices or anything that doesn't necessarily need a human behind it to do it, right? There's a lot of software nowadays available where you can really make it yourself as easy as possible. So for example, for my business, I don't have an online coaching business. I've got all my appointments, all my admin, everything is just automated through the software. And as long as I make sure my availability is available, everything just from appointments to invoices just gets automatically generated. And I just need to make sure it's at the end, it's, except I am available, and off we go for the coaching sessions. So that makes it for me much more effective, to work with the time. And of course, I get to spend the time actually working with my clients instead of, messing around with invoices and social media posts and that kind of things. Well, that brings me to the last point, and of course, outsourcing simple tasks or stuff you really don't like. So if you have a to-do list, I'm not sure if you ever looked at it, but there are always certain tasks that always end up at the bottom. But you then rarely do it, or with great resentment, you end up doing them anyway. I would recommend you outsource them. And other tasks, so for example, if you do social media, if you have follow-up emails to send to customers, that it would really be like a copy-paste kind of job. If it's just you and your business, that would be a thing to outsource. So for example, I've worked with many people by now, and I've got a VA, and she lives in the Philippines. So with the currency difference, I pay her about $120 for 20 hours per week of support in my business, which is in her currency $5,000 a month. And at this point, I know she's even feeding like half of the village, like the big bulk bags of rice, right? So because she, with the difference in currency, is that so positive in return for her, that I effectively pay her just a small amount for in our terms, which is for her is massive, and it's absolutely life changing, to the point that she's working with the whole village benefits from me working with her. So it can be really worth getting help in, especially if you're just starting out and you notice that all these tasks are taking up too much of your time. You actually don't have enough time to working where your zone of genius is, right? And so of course, that lady, because she's in the Philippines, there's also a time zone difference. And what I find really beneficial is when you work also with people in different time zones, is that you can really get a lot done. Because if I'm like done with whatever it is I'm doing for the end of the day, and I say, oh, could you follow up with XYZ for me? Of course, her workday starts when I'm done. So next morning, when I get back to work, everything is already being taken care of. So, for example, I also worked with a copywriter was it last year for a launch for my website for something. She was in Australia, and she had a turnover, I think, for 48 hours. But again, because of the time zone difference, by the time I woke up in the morning, everything was done. So it makes life so much easier if you can just find the right persons and to really support you in business. So even if it's a small investment, like I mentioned with the VA, who can now the currency difference for her, it's a big chunk of money. Well, for us, it's a relative small investment. It really helps to free up your time, because 20 hours a week. Can you imagine having extra 20 hours a week, to spend? It really helps, clearing up at the time and to help you focus on, because these tasks, of course, are part of business, but it doesn't mean you need to, keep doing them yourself. Let me see.
I've actually just got a quick question that I just thought of there. If I'm sort of putting myself in the seat of all of the business owners on the call today, obviously a lot of them are trying to run 101 different things at once, right? And the option of outsourcing probably seems like quite a good option, but they probably also don't really know where to start. I know if it was me sitting there, I'd be thinking, right, trying to run my business day to day. I'm trying to work on a business plan that Lindsay's very, very handily putting to the end of her list every time, and Alana's going to help her with. But the point is that if there was anywhere for people to start looking for resources to outsource some of these things to, do you have any advice or tips on where they could look?
Well, the different ways you can do it. It's sometimes it's tricky to find someone who works actually in the way you work and the quality you prefer, because if you're so used to doing stuff alone, just handing over your baby, as it feels like I hope that's okay. So a good way is also asking for referrals. So if you're on Facebook or LinkedIn and you just post on social media, say, look, I'm looking for XYZ to help you. Do you know anyone who does that? And 9 out of 10 times people know someone who they've worked with. Other platforms like Fiverr are also a good option. You have Upwork, I believe it's called. It's a similar platform, but there are all kinds of platforms. That can help you. Even with like editing tasks, if you write a lot, or make like PDFs for documents or fillable PDFs is something I needed for an opt-in. I God knows how to do that with PDF. I just had someone on a Fiverr do that for me. So it was literally just a Fiverr, and I think an hour later I had the complete document all done and sorted. So it's depending on what it is you need. So that's why I say this outsource starts with simple task that you can just say, look, for example, LinkedIn outreach, you want to connect with more people. These are the specifications. This is how you do it. You can only send, say, 20 invites per day. Done, right? And so you can build more network, more potential clients. Someone can just copy paste that for you. It doesn't need to be that complicated. So another thing, a client of mine, for example, she's a copywriter, and she can make repurposed content. So if you, for example, do a video like this, and you send it to her, she can make a blog post out of it, she can make an Instagram post out of it, she can make a Facebook share out of it, just for that one video. So it's like, oh, why do you know? And you got a week's or 2 weeks worth of content, I believe it is, for just that one simple video. So again, time investment, you get to share your expertise of whatever it is you do, or whether you talk, like I said, about your restaurant, or I know a couple of designers here as well. I love sewing myself, hence the mannequin in the background. So say you do a 10-minute video about I don't know, a new project you have, and then you send that out to someone who knows how to repurpose it, because that's the thing they do. Well, if you then have that schedule them in, for example, or upload that for your website, that's literally that 10 minutes plus the sending. That's all you have to do instead of step by step by step. So it frees up a massive amount of time by just spending here a couple of bucks. And of course, if that then brings in more clients, you can of course rinse and repeat. And you will see definite change in your income, but also in how you feel. Because of course it's tiring to be doing everything by yourself, and especially social media. It often feels like it's be on every platform. I'm just close to the window because the neighborhood kids just decided to go scream under my window. So just make it yourself as simple as possible. But there are of course certain tasks in your business that's like your specialty, right? It's your core element of what you're doing. So for example, of course, with the coaching I couldn't outsource the coaching, but I can outsource someone onboarding the client, setting up the contract, following up with invoices, designing presentations like this, all that kind of stuff. So with the right people, even with the small investment, you can free up so much of your time. And that, of course, helps fantastically with overwhelm. And if you're, for example, also a parent, there's enough going on. Mine are almost 3 and 7, so they're still in the early stages where they do require supervision. And so, for example, a few weeks ago, I bought a robot hoover. So Fufu, as we call him, cleans now on our behalf, and those kind of things can also be outsourced. So even if you can't think of anything in your business to outsource, you could, for example, say get a cleaner over every other week who cleans the house top to bottom. Throws in a washing, and it frees up time like that for you. So it doesn't need specifically to be in your business. Just think about things that one, you really don't like doing and that takes up a lot of your time where you're not seeing return or very little return. Those are the things that you shouldn't really be wasting your time on. Of course, things like invoices and stuff, even though I don't see the return, it is of course still an essential part of business. So hiring an accountant or someone who can, even a VA, of course, if you have who can put in the invoices and receipts and that kind of stuff. They're still repetitive tasks, so they're easy to manage And also avoid, of course, people that aren't as experienced to make mistakes that you then need to fix, because that's, of course, a big time waste as well. But yeah, there are a couple of, number of things, I should say. You can look at your own life and where do you feel like it's too much. Is it the social media? Is it the admin side of things? Is it the big pile of laundry that's waiting at home in the laundry basket? Or what are the things that you can just make it easier for yourself, that you can free up the time? Have more space, get a good night's sleep. Increase productivity because you have space to look after yourself as well. Not sure that answers your question, but. So yeah, that's effectively summarizes the presentation. So as we went through on discovering the difference between being productive and being busy, to help you really become aware, what do you choose to spend your time on, and allow yourself to benefit from consciously choosing where you're gonna spend your time in the day, instead of just going in reactive mode and just doing, just because it's supposed to be done that way. And for me, what really helps is that I believe that I'm 100% committed to making my business a success, but it doesn't mean I always need to be working 24/7 in order to do that. So that vision of 100% I'm committed also includes me having enough time, having enough rest, drinking enough water, spending time with my kids and my husband, and just making sure that the battery stays full, and look after myself, because the better I feel, the better my results will be. The more clients will resonate with me if I do speak on podcasts or and on other videos, and So allow yourself to look after yourself well, so you can be more productive, and really allow yourself to every day just to make that choice. Okay, so what can I do today that has most impact, and just take it from there. And just break it down. And if I realized that we talked about on Friday as well, is that avoid interruptions where possible. Because I don't know about you, but obviously with the 2 small children, it's sometimes mama all day long. But if you can block out time, for example, where you can just really focus on that one singular task. So if you say, look, I'm gonna pitch myself at the local newspaper today, I'm gonna sit here and write. Don't open your email. Turn off your phone. Just have that hour of just focused moments, because research shows as well that multitasking actually decreases productivity with 40%. So just by you focusing on that just one thing makes you almost half as productive as you can be. And if you feel great, results will be better too.
Thanks so much, Susanne. There's loads of really useful bits of advice in there. I guess we've maybe ran through it a bit quicker than we would have expected. Normally we have, we would have filled the full hour, but I'm quite keen with, especially the new folks on this call, to do a little bit of an almost like a clinic type thing. So if people have specific issues where they're really struggling with how to manage certain things, maybe we take a couple of minutes, throw it in the chat function, and then get some advice from you on certain topics. Would that be all right?
Let me see. Just
perfect.
Out. Yes.
Perfect. So I can see everyone now. I know that everyone obviously runs very different businesses, and I'm always conscious of Alana right in the middle of my screen, who I know is like desperate to just run off and go and do 101 things. So this is probably quite tough, just to sort of sit and take an hour off. And everyone's got different types of businesses, in a sense that where your clients, Susanne, you can manage them to a certain extent, but a lot of the owners on the call are in pre-start, early start, startup stages, whereby they don't necessarily have that luxury just yet. So I'm keen to get like a little bit more sort of relatable tips for them if possible.
Yes.
I know there's been quite a lot of conversation in the chat, but nothing particularly question-wise. I wonder, does anyone have anything sort of front of mind, maybe a specific issue that you're struggling with at the moment on how to manage, and if Susanne could perhaps answer. If there's nothing that comes to mind, we can take 5 minutes off the call, pop yourself on mute, camera off, and just pop some thoughts into the chat box and then come back. What would everyone prefer?
So I'm quite happy just going to have an open conversation and ask things if that's good.
Excellent.
I think,
start us off then, Alana. Perfect.
You say I'm very aware that everyone's in a very unique position. We are a little bit further down our journey. Whilst my food production side is very new, it's still part of a bigger concept that we are kind of 8 years into. From my perspective, like, we have been working really quite hard over the last year to both scale the operations to enable us to outsource, but actually bring on people for those specific functions, so that we're no longer having to handle invoices, we're no longer having to handle payroll, new head chef. We had brought in a restaurant manager as well, production manager. From my perspective at this moment, we've been dragged back into operations because we had to dismiss the restaurant manager we'd brought on. Unfortunately, it was going to end up quite a catastrophe, I think, if we had left him to...
got your losses, yes.
Reputational damage had we carried on with it. So we're back in at the moment, a bit mental, and it's very much shortchanged, symptomatic, I think, of what's happening in the industry with us at the moment. But in terms of that, being able to actually kind of reprogram your brain is where I'm struggling, because even though we've got people who can do it, who are delegated, who are confident, and we can leave to run it, we sit at home or feel that we need to be in there to be like, are we there? Are we there for you? Do you need to ask anything? And that's one of the big challenges that both myself, my dad, and my partner have. We're the business owners, to feel that we can actually just let, it's not that they can't get on with it, they're more than competent and capable of getting on with it, but removing that emotional guilt of not being there to pick it up off after them, I think is where I definitely most struggle.
Yeah, that's very common, that the feeling of, you need to be the first in, last out, or you need to be present, be the leader, show the way kind of feeling. And especially if you've had also, staff that kind of ruined the trust level, to phrase it nicely. It is a process, and I think what I see with my clients as well is it just makes practice. It's obviously if you get a new person now in, and you kind of have to rebuild that trust, and trust doesn't just go poof, okay, I trust you, that's it, here's my business, and I'll see you in 6 months kind of thing. So find a way for yourself, for you say, was it your partner and your father, whether that's either keeping track of the numbers, or having staff meetings, or just phone calls where you just quickly say what's going on. I don't know how many bookings or whatever it is, of course, for specifically that's relevant for your business. And as you just keep those things and they keep checking out, you will notice the feeling starts to shift inside, where you can just feel like you can let go a bit more, and then of course you still need to keep track of performance and with staff, that all involved, of course, but it just takes time to get that reprogramming done, and yeah, it's normal that you just go, okay, well, here's my business, good luck. So if you're feeling that's just, you're human, you're doing a good job. But just find a way to talk, to your business partners, and just see what would they need to get that emotional satisfaction that they know everything is okay in the business. So, like I said, whether that's a weekly meeting with that new person, or with other members or staff, or just emails on certain questions of or what are they doing, or any issues, and the more you do it, you will notice that feeling will shift, but it just takes repetition to help you get the confidence that the people that you have in those spots are indeed in the right place. Yeah. Hope that answered the question.
I have 2 questions, if that's okay.
Of course, go ahead.
The first one is, what would you advise to procrastination? Because I need my business plan done within a month, 2 months max. And I do really struggle with it. I struggle with any sort of sit down written work. I'm more, as a chef, more of an get up sort of physical person.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you have any advice for that. And also in terms of outsourcing, I've outsourced my social media just now to a girl that does social marketing, and she's fantastic. She's absolutely amazing. Her name's in the chat. And I'm so glad I done it and put that investment in, because I'm already seeing a return. Like, she just goes in, she logs into my Facebook and Instagram, and she posts every day for me. She does my stories, and I've had so many more likes. She's kind of changed my brand as well a little bit. So yeah, that's fantastic. But I would also eventually like to outsource all the bookkeeping, because that's another thing that I don't really want to spend time on. But I do have time to do it just now, to be honest, because I'm not that busy in terms of the sales, because I'm still working my business part-time at the moment. So, like, when do you know when is the right time to outsource that? Because I feel like I should be doing it just now because I have the time. But do you take the risk and just pay for someone to do it and then spend your time on what you hope will get you more return, if that makes sense? Sort of take the risk.
Yeah, what I teach my clients is that you kind of just decide on what feels good. So if you are wanting to do the books, but you feel the resentment and it's making you more tired and it's making you more delayed, and you're like, because the thing is, if you feel really resentful against, having to do admin, you're not going to create more business for yourself, because then you have to do more admin. So you need to see how that the pattern actually works for you. Just because you have the time doesn't mean you have to be spending on it. Look, I've got plenty of time. Doesn't mean I'm going to clean the house top to bottom today, right? Just because it's there, doesn't mean you have to do it. So I saw like QuickBooks mentions in the app as well. I've now Xero for myself, and I had free agent before this. And I know accountants like that, you could through the app. I think it was from that came with just recommended through the app, was like £40 a month. They could do your whole bookkeeping. And now, don't quote me on the price, because it's been quite a while, but it might be worth that few extra hours just so you free up and if that makes you feel better, then it doesn't really matter if you have the time for it. But in regards to your procrastination question, the real question is why are you procrastinating? Is it because you don't want to do it? Is it because you have something better to do that you don't know how to do? Can you?
Probably because I'd like to say that I don't know how to do it, but I do know how to do it. I think I do know how to do it, and I don't know how to do it, especially when it comes to the sort of the cash flow and the more complicated stuff. I think I need sort of someone to help me, which is why I'm here, just to hopefully get a business coach and someone that can help me with that. But yeah, I feel like I need someone to like hold my hand through this bit.
You need a sparring partner, I think the word is. The procrastination can come from different things. It can come from if it's really something you shouldn't be doing, just because it's like, the wrong direction to go. But if it is part of your goal of something you want to achieve, if it's, I don't know if it's part of the business program, if you guys look at it, but you could have a draft. If you don't want to write it, why don't you use a voice recorder that just writes it out for you? I know there's apps for that, because I had it the other day. I had to get a podcast into Word. So maybe just by just tweaking it. You can just talk on your phone. It's like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. And then you have someone else maybe edit it through you. I don't know if something exists as a financial editor, but I'm sure with 8 billion people on this planet, you can find someone who can write up a business proposal for yourself.
No, that's a really good tip, because I always say that I could talk about my business, but when it comes to writing it, so yeah, that's a good tip. Thanks.
Yeah, and then have the questions, just making a recording per question. If you have the layout already, well, if you can get that transcribed through whatever app it is you use, then you're there, and then you just need to edit it, go through it, and maybe do the numbers, and then you're there. So it's just allowing the technique again, you know, to support in business, and I've seen a bit more comments with automating everything. Yeah, Xera as well. But yeah, if you prefer to talk, then just do it on a voice message. Why not?
Thanks.
I think that's a great suggestion, Susanne. And you know, business planning is always something that pretty much everyone that comes onto the program struggles with, because it's just not the forte of what you guys are doing. It's not what your day-to-day is of running your business. But rest assured, that's a huge topic you can all get into with your business enablers. I see Rebecca frantically scrolling some notes there of where to start. So if that's something that's you know, a blocker to you guys at the moment, please make the best use of your mentors to help kind of how to get that information out of your heads onto a bit of paper, and by the end of the program have something that is tangible, that can be used for grants, for competitions, for applying for bank loans, whatever it is. It's definitely something that you guys can go into a lot more detail about.
And business awards.
Yeah, for sure, of course, yeah. The whole conversation around sort of managing finances, that's definitely a topic that we get into in a lot more detail, as well as and when you guys tell us that you want information on it. So great that a few people have shared their suggestions. Thank you, Ian. Thank you, Alana. We do have Karen as well on the call today. Karen, I'm not going to put you on blast here to sort of give your sales pitch, but Karen's got a lot of clients that are, you know, small businesses based in the same areas that you guys are in, and she's an accountant, so she does all of their accounts and has a fab sort of client list at the moment. Karen, I might ask you more so from the perspective of, if you have a young business or a young business owner coming to you with advice on when to maybe start outsourcing, what would you say to them, almost in response to Lindsay's question?
Pretty much the same that was covered already. If it's not bringing you any joy, don't do it.
Yep.
You know, your time can be used doing better things. And even myself, like, I obviously run my own payroll. I am an accountant, I can do it, but I hate it, and I don't do payroll as a service for that reason. So yeah, just because you've got the time doesn't mean you should do it. And from a practical perspective, I've had clients that do their own and then come to me, and then there's a lot of unpicking that needs done, because, you know, because that can happen. Cost can sometimes put people off in terms of the software, but I think once you start using the software, and I love the fact that a couple of people have said that they're using Xero.
It's so much easier. Yeah.
Once you start using it, you'll just see how, you know, easy it can make things. And, you know, just a couple of points from my own business. I've just got repeating invoices set up. So clients probably think I'm so sad. Like on a Sunday, yesterday was the 1st of August. They probably thought I was sitting there sending out invoices. I wasn't. It's just that recurring, you know, thing. So there's a lot of automation. But at the end of the day, if you're not trained in bookkeeping and it doesn't bring any joy, then you probably shouldn't be doing it. Just like I wouldn't be baking cakes, because it, you know, it does bring me joy, but it makes my kitchen an awful mess, and they're not very nice. So yeah, it's just kind of your time is valuable, so spend it doing something that you enjoy.
Exactly.
Good. Excellent. I'm just having a look around the screen here. Julia, I noticed you sort of scrolling frantic notes as well, and I know you've managed to join us after being kicked out of the meeting a couple of times, so sorry about that. But is there anything sort of that's front of mind for you, Julia? I know the type of business you run is slightly different than some of the others we've got on the call today. Anything specific time management wise, maybe outside of the day-to-day that you're struggling with that you might like to ask any questions on?
Yes, I think one of my biggest blockers for me is to find somebody else to work with me, because what I do is very much about myself, which is massage therapy. So nobody has my hands, obviously. So for me, my difficulty is to convince somebody that they can do it as well. Because what they think is they're very scared. They don't have my passion. They don't have my healing hands. And to be honest with you, I don't think massage therapy is for everybody. You know, nothing is for everybody. And for me, this is my huge difficulty, trying to find somebody to convince, well, to introduce this, because I can only do so many clients a day. That's why I was late, because the client came late. So, I can only do so many clients. And as much as I would like to do it every day, it's physically not possible. And I will obviously, I put so much effort in my room, which I could do with another staff to do at least the days I can't do, because the amount of calls I have is unbelievable. I just can't deal with everybody because it's physically impossible. So for me, my biggest blocker is that, trying to find somebody to work on the days that I don't work. So how to do that? No clue.
Yeah, a friend of mine, she set up her own massage company in Amsterdam. She now actually has 3 stores in Amsterdam, and she has about 50 massage therapists. Well, I don't know if you're in a city as big as Amsterdam, but I am sure there must be at least one person that you can either get on board as a junior massage therapist, and maybe can do different tasks. I don't know if you do specifically reflexology or other things, or just deep tissue, or but maybe there you can have different skills and still complement yours, of course, and then also spend time training that person so she can, you know, get some of your magic in there as well. And I noticed you also said you're getting a lot of phone calls. I don't know if you're the one who's actually doing all of them. Then that might also be worth looking into, maybe some software or an external receptionist. Those services are nowadays available too. That the other companies just basically run your desk for you. So there might be a bit of options that you can just literally, you know, free your hands to actually focus on the massage side of things, and then get a junior massage person in. I don't know where you are, so it might be a bit of a search Google, or I don't know. Where do you teach massage nowadays? Is that here on universities? Is that on colleges? There must be at least someone who wants to have a job, right?
I think I will look for time next week when I have time.
Yeah, so make the time. Get, like I said, it's a junior staff, so maybe you can offer it for a lower fee compared to you as a senior massage therapist, because I know that my friend Esther did as well. And she had, in I think 4 years, three different locations in the middle of Amsterdam. So there is definitely room for growth. I know that from experience. But yeah, start with seeing if you can free up the time for yourself with either automating the appointments, or because I'm assuming you do all kinds of different massages as well. So it's quite a complex thing to then book in. But that's why I'm saying maybe an external receptionist who just understands, oh no, the person wants a Swedish massage or a deep tissue massage. They can organize it for you, for example. But there are definitely ways to even that free up your time and make it easier for yourself, so you can focus on the things you do best instead of running a phone service with appointments and stuff.
Thank you.
That's a great answer, Susanne, definitely. And I didn't realize, Alison, thanks so much for sharing that Cecilia does that as part of her service. I didn't know. Hey. What does she not do? Let's be honest. Well,
and then Abby at Adder Solutions on the Black Isle does it as well. So,
okay, cool, perfect. We can I can send you those contacts, Julia, and I'm sure you can reach out to both of those ladies to see if they can help. Especially, I think it's maybe useful if it's somebody that knows the area, lives in the area as well. I don't know how important that is to you, but I think if it was me as a customer, if I was getting somebody from the local area, I'd probably be more inclined to
definitely local area,
as opposed to somebody.
Definitely.
For sure. Excellent. Good. Okay. Anyone else got any other thoughts? Maybe not even a question, just general sort of observations about managing their time and how to do it better. I know I can always use some tips, but has anybody got anything else that's front of mind that they would like to ask Susanne whilst we've got her for a couple more minutes? It's just because everyone's so good at managing their time. We're also productive. You know, we finish right at 5 o'clock. It's definitely an easier said than done thing. Susanne, let's finish up here then. So,
I wasn't going to ask you, just a comment really. Just to say that I liked your point when someone asked about how to deal with procrastination, is to really understand why. I think, and just understand, is it because you don't actually really know how to do it? You don't think it's valuable, or just to and normally, you know, really, if you ask yourself why you don't want to do it, why you're procrastinating. But I think that was a really good point you made, and maybe that can unlock things for people as well.
And sometimes you're going against what your gut is telling you. So that's why I'm pointing that out. Is it because if it's part of, you know, the goal you want, you know, for example, set up your own coaching business, that it might be worth pushing through that. But if that's really something else you want to be doing, I don't know, writing books, and then you're barking up the wrong tree, right? So then it makes sense you're procrastinating. But yeah, if it's as simple as in using a voice message instead, because, you know, the writing is where your block is, and it can be as easy as that, a solution. So that I hope that's the biggest tip I can give all of you. You're allowed to make it yourself as easy as possible. So if you even have the time, feel free to outsource it, or, you know, say, like I said, get someone in from a different time zone or a different currency, that even with a small investment, like for me, it was about $120. So I think it was around 86 pounds in the currency at the time. She did an extra 20 hours per week as virtual assistant services. So if, you know, even if you have a few bits extra to spare as you're starting to grow, like I said, a client of mine is a copywriter. I know she specifically works with creative small businesses, so it's not like you have to spend thousands of getting some social media posts up. So find something that works for your business specifically, that it frees up time, so you can go to the gym, get good night's sleeps, go for extra walks, have time for family dinners or whatever is. And now we're, of course, moving out of all the restrictions and stuff. But yeah, make sure you feel good, because the results will be much better when you do. And that will, of course, in the end also reflect in the business and the success and everything you see moving forward.
Excellent. Thanks, Susanne. Hannah, that's a great comment that you just put in there. I couldn't agree more. And it's one of those things that you probably wouldn't be able to identify unless you understood it in a bit more detail. Not sure if everyone's seen Hannah's comment just around procrastination as a symptom of anxiety. I mean, obviously, you know, overall different levels, all the rest of it, but I thought that's a really good point, not something that I've thought about previously. So thanks for sharing. So folks, we are coming to the end now. We've got a couple of cohort 4 folks on here with us, which you're going to really test me now to make sure I don't miss anyone. John, Alice, Ian McLaughlin, Alison, I think everybody else is new. Karen, you just joined in January, didn't you? So you're not C4. Yep, perfect. And Hannah, you're kind of on and off with us for a while, so you'll still be with us for a wee bit longer, I think. But just wanted to say thanks so much, guys, for coming along today. And you will still all be invited to any of the virtual sessions that we do for the meanwhile. So please join if you're ever free. And you've obviously still got access to the business enablers and all of us lot at AAB as well. So anything we can help with, even although the program is technically finished, please come to us. And yeah, everyone from the new cohort, thanks so much for joining, guys. This was a bit of an unusual doing it in an afternoon type session, but we managed to get a pretty good group, I think. So we'll maybe try that again in the future. And finally, thanks so much, Suzanne, for your time and for your tips. Really, really useful.
Great.
And yeah, that's us, guys. We will be putting this recording onto Slack and onto the learning platform at some point. And we will see all of you hopefully soon, more so cohort 6 at your second onboarding sessions over the next few weeks. So we've got that to look forward to as well. Good, good. Thanks all.
Okay.
Nice to see you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.